Hello, and welcome to this week's Tech Tuesday with Scale Science. On today's episode, we'll talk all things required to get started and have great success with your brand new airbrush. So here we have an Iwata Revolution. It's a single action siphon-fed airbrush. Here's a direct comparison to another Iwata. This is the Eclipse. It is a gravity-fed airbrush, noting the key difference being the tank on top and utilizing gravity for the paint to fall into the chamber rather than a siphon system. This is also a dual action airbrush, meaning you can actuate your paint flow and airflow by controlling the lever on top. Push down to add air and pull back to control the flow of paint. Now you may recognize this beauty. It's our giveaway airbrush, and I had to get one to make sure we were doing the right thing. So far, I am seriously impressed with its performance and adjustability. This is my tried and true Harbor Freight airbrush. I've had it now for about 2 years, and it has done some seriously nice paint jobs. Here's some examples of those. One of my favorites is this iridescent teal from Mission Models. Or how about this custom mixed yellow? Or even this Warlock bronze from Citadel. Time and time again, this little airbrush has come through. This was my award-winning body build-off. And my personal favorite, the Purple People Eater, as known by Randall. You're not limited to just bodies. I use it to detail lots of stuff, like check out my missile build. Painted up the hood, detailed my sewer storm drain cover, got it installed with some rust effects, all courtesy of a Harbor Freight airbrush. Now, after 2 years of service, I'm not going to sit here and tell you this is the best there is, but I will tell you that you can achieve some excellent results with this little gun. That said, there are some flaws I have found with this airbrush. It doesn't have that really nice, tight, and mechanical feel like an Iwata does. It also has a small nozzle at 0.03, so painting an entire body is extremely time-consuming. Now, since our new gun is completely clean, we're going to utilize this to show you how to properly disassemble and clean your airbrush. We'll begin by loosening the collet and slowly removing the needle, being cautious not to hit the tip on anything as you do. Now, you should never need to remove this rear end for cleaning purposes. However, you can to fully remove your collet assembly and clean inside there and or lubricate. The airbrush actuator is removable. Notice there's a channel through the center where the needle will pass through as it travels to the nozzle. That is the easiest point in which to hit the tip of your needle on and damage it, so pay extra close attention. The bottom is cupped to make contact with the valve on the air assembly. Here you can see the nozzle, which has a slight opening around the circumference of the nozzle, which allows the air to flow, and that air flowing around the end of the nozzle creates the siphon vacuum, which pulls paint through the gun and sends color on its merry way. Now, I remember in school they said don't use dirty needles, and that same goes when airbrushing. Folks, this is a prime example of what not to do. My needle is filthy here, and I am embarrassed for you to even see that. But for you to understand what is happening, this dirty needle is going to create really bad flow around the needle's circumference, and that's going to show in your spray pattern. Back again to the beauty supply store for some of these medium density makeup sponges. They are really good at holding onto your cleaning solution, as well as squeezing into the nooks and crannies of your gun, allowing you to easily clean the nozzle as well as other components of your airbrush. While you're there, get yourself some of these color applicator bottles. They come in really handy for fitting inside of the siphon feed of your airbrush, as well as being very precise in where you place your cleaning solution. Another great tool is these graduated milliliter measuring cups. They're small, disposable, and you can pick them up at an extreme bargain when you buy in bulk. If you're like me, you might also be surprised how many times you end up using these cups for things other than painting, like keeping screws organized on your desktop or taking a shot of wheatgrass. Before, I had some cups that did not have the measurements on them, and why I now like the cups with measurements more is they allow me to really specifically mix custom colors of paint up or replicate colors that I may have mixed prior and know that I can achieve the exact same results. Another must-have in my painting arsenal is these disposable pipettes. I've used them on a multitude of projects, and they come in so handy at the most random times. I really like this specific design of pipette that has the graduated end, and really fine, accurate droppings can be put onto things if you need to add cleaner or paint to a specific detailed project. Now, this pipette has only been used for thinner and cleaner, so at the end of its life and it's kind of breaking down and it's looking old and tired, I can now start using it to measure and mix my paint, and if need be, dispose of safely. Now, in the recent months, I was fortunate enough to get one of these standing air compressors, and that has given me a new ability with my airbrushing. Gone are the days of letting my air compressor cool down because I'm going too hard. I now have adequate volume to just go, 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 go. I'm seeing an average of 2.5 hours of shoot time before the compressor kicks on cycling to recharge the tank. In smaller compressors that are tankless, you can actually see the piston cycling strokes when the paint comes out of the gun in some cases. So having a tanked air reserve that is shooting through your airbrush allows you to get optimum results. I've added this inline moisture trap and bleeder valve to my airbrush, which allows me to ensure that my brush stays safe from the tanked air compressor and I never see moisture or any other contaminants make its way through my expensive airbrush. The bleeder valve is also great for ensuring you have air at your brush and to expel any trapped water. Now, my last suggestion would be getting yourself a piece of scratch paper or a notepad that you can take observations or notes, especially when painting, in case you need to step away and come back, or put it away for a day or two and come back and reference something to remember what you did. If you're anything like me, you come up with some wild scientific concoctions in the lab, but you don't always remember how or why you got there. To begin your test, fill up your paint vessel with bottled water. It's imperative you use bottled water to ensure that there's no hard water contaminants that could leave residue or cause surface degradation, like rust, inside of your brush. We're using a siphon-fed airbrush today, and on a siphon bottle, you're gonna have a vent hole. It's imperative to keep that vent hole clear of paint because it can cause some serious headaches, especially when you're just starting out with your airbrush. Install your bottle into your brush, ensure that you have air, and you can grab your collection pot. This was a little bonus that I picked up at Harbor Freight. It was about $8, and this thing has seen every color that I have ever painted. Ah, memories. Now, I always opt to wear gloves when painting, or as often as I can, just for safety, but it also doubles up as an awesome test bed for your paint. Now, I'll shoot little test sprays on these black gloves, and black really helps the colors show up well. When shooting water, the heat from your hand will also help the water flash or evaporate off, and you can continue testing in the same location. Now, let's make an adjustment and we'll tighten the needle down, making the paint flow less. A spray pattern of this size would be ideal for painting things such as window trims, where you need that extreme accuracy. Now, let's open the spray pattern all the way up, and you'll notice how much material the gun can lay down. So if you really need to cover some ground and get some really heavy, thick paint coverage fast, you can do all of that within this same airbrush unit. Another tip I would suggest is on this dial, putting a marking or an indication of some kind so you can clock the dial and be able to find settings more easily. Now this is an example of a deeper clean than you would usually need to perform. However, I left paint in this airbrush for an extended period of time, which forced me to need to go a little bit above and beyond for cleaning. I begin my process with some cleaning solution and one of my measuring cups. I'll fill the cup up with cleaning solution and begin dismantling my airbrush, placing the nozzle in the solution to soak and begin breaking down any of the caked on paint. This cleaning solution consists of 2 parts windshield washer fluid to 1 part rubbing alcohol and about 10 to 15 drops of pure vegetable glycerin, which I sourced from Whole Foods. This is kind of a do-anything type solution. I begin all of my airbrush sprays by running some through my airbrush to ensure that everything is coated and lubricated, ready for painting. If you stay up on your cleaning, this solution works great. However, if you do have some seriously caked on paint, thinner may be a better option. It is quite expensive though, which is why I opt to use my home brewed cleaner whenever possible. Now I'll take one of those sponges and dunk it in my cleaning solution. I'll saturate it and begin to coat the needle. Let's talk about some best practices when cleaning your needle. You'll want to pull towards you and not plunge the needle. When you do try to plunge, it has the tendency to bite down and it can go through the sponge and bend the tip, or worse yet, pierce your hand, and I'm telling you, that hurts. I forgot to put the lid on my thinner and spilled about $5 worth of that bottle all over my bench. Took about the blink of an eye, and that is all unusable. Can't put it back in because it'll taint the bottle. Wave goodbye to $5. Tune in next week as we go in depth in the perfect procedure to mix up your paint, as well as throwing it in your airbrush and laying it down. Hope you learned something this week, and looking forward to the next one. We'll see you next time.